And we will have a joyful time with Reverend Jan Phillips. Uh, I like this title, Stop Seeking, Start Finding. It implies action. Do it. It's kind
Does.
of like a Nike ad too, right? Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Um, so you can all see this, but Jan has spoken to and has met people uh, around the world, and folks who have made a mark in some way on the lives of all of us. Uh, and the one I appreciate the most among many great people is Pete Seeger. Jan had met with and had spent some time with Pete Seeger. And I did too at one point, but that was a lot of people around. So Jan is to talk with us today, and I'm going to hand it right over to you. So welcome, Jan.
Thank you. It's really good to be with you all again. And what we're going to consider today, I thought I would just take the first couple quotes. This is the book. And the reason why it's a book is because I'm 75 now. And so I'm really interested in harvesting everything I can harvest from my life experience. And this book has been all the quotes from the masters from all spiritual traditions that I've gathered, pretty much memorized over the course of my life because they had such a profound influence on me. So the book is designed that first there's the quote, then there's the one page of reflection, then there's a photograph because I'm primarily a photographer. And then there's a poem. Because when we're speaking to people, we want to find out what's the best way to communicate with the person that I'm with. Because it's always different. The other night my sister and I had a dinner party and we invited our good friends Jane and Don. And Jane and Don are atheists. So that invites a whole different kind of speaking because very often my natural way of speaking is to incorporate the possibility of divinity in our lives. Whoops, sorry, I just lost you. And and so because I'm with an atheist, then I'm going to be speaking differently, say the same thing, pass the same love, be the same light, but adjust the language so that it's inclusive for the person that I'm with. And so writing this book was an opportunity to just share the thoughts I have as I've evolved over the years. I go to a unity church here, and the minister is re retelling the Christmas story in a way that's very human and very different from the way that we all thought it happened. So the first quote from the book is from a physicist, Michio Kaku, and the words nothing and something are capitalized in this quote. In the beginning, nothing became unstable, and particles of something started to form. In the beginning, nothing became unstable, and particles of something started to form. So that's the scientific alternative to the deity up there on some cloud, creating the world in 7 days. Well, you know, we have two Genesis stories. So the first is created the world in 7 days. Well, 6 days, and then he napped on the seventh. And the other one, of course, is Adam and Eve. So we're moving toward higher levels of thinking about how it might have happened. And so anything that we can bring to the table as an imaginative thought or stimulus, it's good to do, because all of us inherited, I imagine everybody sitting here on the call inherited dogma in the same way, passed down parents, passed down from the churches we attended. And it was pretty much driven into us that this is the only way, this is the best way, don't ever veer from this path. And there was some fear attached to it. So good for us that we have managed to disentangle from the strictness of that dogma and perceive ourselves as evolutionary vehicles of a story that helps each other and helps ourselves get through the struggles that we face. I have a good friend in Texas who's a minister, PhD, really, really bright. And he's got a whole following that's kind of like us. The big cathedral is there, and on the other side of the street is a meeting hall, and his followers meet in the meeting hall, and he takes them on an evolutionary journey. And it's just freeing and liberating, like our spiritual path is freeing and liberating. That's why we're called the New Thought Community. I think of us as the cutting edge, as the prophetic community that really offers our communities at large a continuing, renewing, fresh approach to spirituality. And so I imagine that all of you do that in your own way. You know how I do it. I do it in spades, just because so much inspiration is flowing through me all the time. It's like I just finished putting up a photographic exhibition, and I could hardly wait to finish that, because I only do one project at a time and I wanted to do my book. So all of you are doing the same thing. You're channeling spirit into the world, and your reception of spirit is in your spiritual practice. You know, I got up an hour early today so I could say all my prayers and do my practice before I come into my office to be with you. And this is a spiritual encounter of its own kind, because this is spirit coming through the group. Jacob Needleman is a philosopher who said the art form of the future will be group pondering. And I suspect that's why you have the coffee talk. So we ponder what's been said to us. So I'm going to read you the two poems that are associated with the first two. It's a book of hours. So if you're a Catholic, you might know what a book of hours is, but it's in the Middle Ages, the monks divided the day 24 hours into 8 segments for prayer. Islamic traditions have 7 times during the day when they kneel and pray. So this was the monastic version. And you've all heard words like vespers, lauds, compline, right? I was in the for 2 years, and we said lauds in the morning and vespers at 5. So turning the book into a book of hours means I have, let's see, 7 days a week times 8 segments of the day. I have 56 opportunities to break through in your thinking. And so I like that. And it also can be used as a divination tool, because if you're stuck in trying to make a decision, you could go right to the day and right to that hour and see what the message is and see if it has any bearing on what you're up to. So the prayer, I mean, not the prayer, but the poem that goes along with this first one is called When God First Saw His Mother. When God first saw his mother, he cried. Astonished by her radiance, he fell to his knees, witnessing a wonder beyond all knowing. She appeared on the shoulders of 7 galaxies. The Milky Way crowned her with a halo of stars. Andromeda and Centaurus circled her wrist, bangles from the heavens for the mother of all. Orion dropped his shield when she appeared. Pegasus reared and spread his wings. A roar from Ursa Major shattered the silence. I never knew, God said, an old man now aloft on a nebula. Look what I made so I wouldn't be alone, he said, pointing everywhere with his fingers of light. Hoping for her approval, he began his litany. Fire, water, wind, stars, planets, creatures. God's mother beheld the heavens, impressed with the wonder of binary stars, stellar winds, moons and tides, and galaxies in the trillions, with no beginning or end. Is it as you intended? She asked her son. Except for Earth, where they are slow to learn, they fight day and night and poison their young in all manner of ways. Do you not intercede? The mother inquired. I do not, God said. They are born to create. What do you think will come to pass? It's up to them, though they cling to beliefs that I'm in charge. Do you not have power over their sun and moon? The affairs of earth belong to them. The infinite is mine, the finite theirs. I see, she said as she shifted in space, the galaxy swirling and shining beneath her. You have done well, she praised, then dissolved into dark, the mother of everything, returning to naught. God entered the deep space of silence and awe, then broadcast to the cosmos this bulletin of joy. The mother has come. We are not alone. Let us sing praise to the mother of all. So it's an imaginary tale, really, but the want of it is to open up caverns in our imagination so that we can free ourselves to think bigger than we're thinking in this moment. When I spoke to that friend of mine from Texas, he says, "What are you making of this political mess we're in right now?" Right. Computer keeps falling off my stack of books. What are you making of this what time that we're in historically and politically? And I said, well, I'm using it as an opportunity to improve my ability to think non-dualistically. And every and plus, I'm only watching the news three times a day when I eat. And so I used to be a real news hound and watch the news all the time, and now I just won't expose myself to it, except because I need to get some news. And so I'm watching very little news. And so that keeps me calm. But when an occasion arises that I have the feeling it ought not be like this, I have to work at it in my brain non-dualistically to see that there's always two sides of one thing, and the one thing is perfect. Life is unfolding perfectly. And so my challenge is to see, where do I fit in? What's my job now? And what am I up against? And I've been a social activist all my life, but I'm becoming a different kind now because I am 75. And, I made a peace pilgrimage around the world when I was in my 30s, and that was easy. But now I can barely walk a straight line. So I have to be more creative in my approach to be a force for good in the world. What's the way I most radiate the most light? And that's the challenge that we're up against. Teilhard de Chardin said, evil is the statistical necessity of disorder in an organism in the midst of complexifying. So the organism is humanity, and evolution is always spiraling upward in its attempt to complexify. And so the statistical necessity of disorder is what today's reality looks like. I don't know. I'm not assuming everybody here is a Democrat, but we all can acknowledge that turbulence is occurring in our environment. So the way that we get to handle it is to reevaluate the way that we're a light in the world. So I'm doing it through photographic exhibition. through writing books. Now this book is done, and now I'm thinking, oh, good, now I can do another one. How will I say it? What will it look like? Maybe I'll do a video instead. It's in our lives. What's the opportunity for us? Yesterday, I went to get an oil change, and we had a 20% off coupon, which came in the mail. So, of course, there's hordes of people in line. So I'm in line because on my dashboard, this little light shines. And I thought, oh God, the light shining, that means I need an oil change. Well, I looked in my manual while I was in line, and that particular symbol stood for you need air in your tire. And I thought, oh, good. I don't need an oil change, but I got to get myself backed out of this line. And so I maneuvered myself out of the line, and right next door to Valvoline Oil Change is Discount Tire. And they have, what do you call it? A free, we'll check your tires for free. So I get out of the oil lube place, go right into the tire place. The guy says, here, your tires were low. He filled them up. And I thought, that's so great. I just saved a fortune. Now I have to go right across the road to Walgreens and pick up a prescription. And just as I was driving to Walgreens, pick up outdoors, they have that counter. So just as I'm going to the counter, I see the security guy in his little golf cart is telling a family of 3 homeless people to get out of the place that they were trying to make home against a brick wall in this massive malls. And they were, I think it was parents and a child who was not kind of in his early 20s, but maybe a little mentally challenged. So 3 people with carts and a dog are wandering around wondering where they're going to go. And I picked up my prescription, and I looked in my purse, and there's a $20 bill just sticking out. And I drove over and honked my horn to get their attention and gave them the $20 bill. And they were really happy, and I was really happy. And so sometimes the opportunities come every day in our life, just right before us. So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking, if there's anything to seek, it's not divinity, because we are that. We're divinity showing up in flesh with a particle version of the waveform God. So no need to seek for something sacred or some bigger way of being. We contain it. We're the chalice of the holy wine. But we're finding ways in everyday life that we can actually manifest the spirit of love. And those opportunities, I think, are all around us. So the seeking that we have to do is seeking for better vision, to know how to show up in the world, how to contribute from whatever abundance we have, and how to be that God we want to see in the world. And my timer just went off. I've been talking for 20 minutes, so I'll honor that, and I won't read that last poem, because I know we'll talk later at coffee time. Okay,
Are you sure? How long is the poem? Is it?
it's not too long. You want to?
Yeah. give it a go.
All right, I'll give it a go. What if? What if Jesus wasn't born of a virgin, but of a mother who burned with desire, who wrapped herself around her man like ivy on an oak? What if he was born in a comfortable house in Nazareth, third of 7 children, hungry for experience, ravenous for mystery? What if he sailed off to Egypt and India to learn from the masters, sink his teeth into emptiness, compress the 10,000 things into a handful of parables? What if he came to earth for the same reasons we did? To smell jasmine, taste pomegranate, hear thunder, feel the thrum of love in the body? What if the whole shebang about salvation and sin and your propensity for wrongdoing was made up by people who just wanted to have power over you? What if the real truth of your life is that you came here to be a mighty force, and when you left those radiant beings at the gate, the ones waving and cheering you on, you promised you wouldn't forget where you came from, but look at you now, hanging by a thread every day, wondering if it even matters? What if you closed your eyes and sat still for a time? What if you remembered that light is still who you are, that flickering flame inside you, that tongue ablazing, that burning star in the sky of your mind, all light, all yours, all joyful and triumphant? Oh, holy night. That was Christmassy. I can't hear any of you.
I
You're
know,
all
and very worth hearing. So I'm glad that you stayed on with that. That
okay,
that was
good.
great. All right. Um, Sherry, do you want to do a meditation here? Unmute.
All
There
right.
you
Okay. Get comfortable in your chairs. Feet on the floor. And now focus on your heart. Focus deep in your beautiful heart. And now breathing slowly and rhythmically as if through your heart. And now remember a time when you felt great joy. And let that feeling just fill your body. Now imagine that joy just expanding out to each one of us, filling the space between us with joy, hope, faith, and love. Expand that joy again out to all those in our country. Let's celebrate the joy that's within each one of us, filling our hearts and souls, connecting us in so many ways. And let's expand it again to all those in our world. Just setting the world on fire with joy. Joy and gratitude for all our many gifts. And let's settle into this moment, the silence. And finally, bring that joy back to yourself. Let it fill you from top to toe. Let us celebrate together, filling our lives with joy every day. And so it is.
Follow your heart's desire. Tune into what it feels. It leads to love alone. It knows the way to heal. Spread kindness everywhere. Give more than what they ask. You come to light the world, your power's unsurpassed. What you have seen me do, you too can do and more. So said the Holy One, who lives forevermore. What you have seen me do, you too can do and more. So said the Holy One, who lives forevermore. The power's in your hands, the light is in your eyes. Love that holds you up causes the sun to rise. Heaven is where you live. Holy is what you are. The fire inside of you is inside every star. What you have seen me do, you too can do and more. and the source are one. You needn't look above. It's all inside of you. You're breathing pure love. The new is being born. The light is breaking through. The very one you seek is in the heart of you. What you have seen me do, you too can do and more. So said the Holy One, who lives forevermore. What you have seen me do, you too can do and more. So said the Holy One, who lives forevermore.
Thank you, Jan. Wonderful. You took us on a great trip and opened up all kinds of possibilities for us. And Sherry, you did the same thing. It was great. And then the song, all of that was magnificent. So thank you for putting that together. And please stay for a little bit. We're going to just do a few more things and then we'll open it up and have a chat. Okay.